How's it going, everyone, and welcome to a new video. First of all, I just want to thank everybody that watched the first two videos that we posted on this channel. They're doing pretty good so far, so I'm going to keep working on that content just to make it every time a little bit better for you guys. And today we have a very special video with this M3 competition right over here. So let's just get straight into it and see if this is a car for you.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding the road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now. So I need that go, y'all. Got hits when he throwing the fastball. Just too quick for it, peeling off like the whip orange. Seen they effort, this piss poor. I got too much, I gotta tend to. Car payments and the rent due. Told y'all that I'm 6 foot, but with the money statement, I'm 10-2. Too much that I've been through, so I put it all in that rear view. Clean money in a black whip, got old problems with the friends new. Yeah, I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh.
So starting off with this beautiful M3 competition, just want to give a huge shout out to my friend Sebastian for allowing us to use the car today to record. So basically this car is spec'd out in the Alpine white with the M double spoke silver wheels. We have red compound brakes. Options for these brakes, you can also get them in blue and black, and you can also get carbon ceramic straight from BMW. So that's always an option to have. Now coming around the front, I think one of the most controversial areas of the design of this G80 M3 was the front grille. As soon as it came out, people were pretty split on it. But for example, a lot of companies have been coming out with these new designs that basically split the grille in the middle, making it look a lot better. We have a full carbon fiber splitter going around the bottom and carbon fiber air ducts as well at both sides. So the front end looks a lot better at this point. Going around the side, we'll see once again the black trim going through the side skirts. Now this car, as you can tell, is lowered on H&R Sports Springs, so the fitment is absolutely amazing. If you come back here, you can barely have one finger in this gap, and so I think it passes the fitment check for sure. Going around the front, you can see pretty much the same. We have a little bit more of a gap, almost 2 fingers there, but nonetheless, the stance is just absolutely perfect with these H&R springs. Now, I have noticed the car does rub a little bit on the front, so that's something just to keep in mind if you're looking into getting these springs. Now, going around the back, of course, we have the M3 quad exhaust, and as well as a gloss black rear spoiler, your M3 competition badge in gloss black as well, LED tail lights, and it's just absolutely beautiful. This car, I'll give you a round kind of coming into the profile angle just so you can see how nice this is. Now, some other things to note about the exterior is that this car is actually spec'd out with the carbon roof. Of course, we don't have a sunroof because of that, but you can see how beautiful the weave is on this carbon roof, and it also has a couple of indentations that come up right there. So those are very nice. And I think this is the perfect spec for an M3. Alpine white exterior, Kyalami orange interior with the black, lowered on H&R springs. It's just perfect. Very quickly stepping into the interior, we have the Kyalami orange with the black details as well, along with their aluminum trim. The different trim options for the M3 are this aluminum that pretty much goes through the center console and the steering wheel, but you can also get that in carbon fiber, which I think is my favorite option for this. Or they also offer a piano black finish, which is personally my least favorite. Now we also have the LCI huge curved display that's coming in the new 2023 Plus BMWs. So that's also awesome to have. We'll get a little bit more into detail on that, but I just wanted to give you a quick look on this orange interior, which I think goes amazing with the Alpine white exterior. Let's go ahead and jump in the driver's seat of this M3 competition, give you guys a startup and some revs as well. Close the door, foot on the brake. Right here you have your red button for start and stop. So as you would expect, the M3 Competition's interior is absolutely beautiful. You have this amazing LCI curved display, as I mentioned before, that goes and pretty much shares the infotainment screen with also your driving information, which I think is very nice to have those integrated. The graphics are absolutely amazing, and I love the fact that BMW has integrated their M colors, you know, the blue and red, into their design, and it pretty much just flows throughout the screen. As you can see over here. Now you'll have, of course, your M1 and M2 buttons. I'll show you over here in the screen. We'll go first over to the home screen. That's kind of your driving settings that we have at the moment, efficient, and everything else is in comfort mode. As soon as we press the M1 button, everything goes ahead and changes immediately to Sport Plus, pretty much putting the car in the most aggressive setting. And you can pretty much customize the M2 button as well if you need to. In this case, if we press it, we have a combination of all the sports settings except for your brakes that are in comfort mode as well in this case. So moving down to your center console, we have several things going on. You'll have your active exhaust button in order to close and open your valves, your setup button, which will take you into the setup screen where you can customize your different driving modes, and your M mode, which is pretty much just a faster way to switch between road and sport mode as well. As you come up, you'll of course have your start stop automatic button, parking assistance, which will pull up the cameras as well. Another button for different cameras. This is in case you just want to check out what's going on in the rear or in the front of you. And then of course your traction control button right on top. Now BMW has revised this shifter for the 2023 and on models. So in order to pretty much go into reverse, we'll just go to the left and up. That'll bring us into reverse and pop up the camera. Go back into neutral, pretty much just bring it down. In order to go into drive and sport mode, we go and take it to the right. And right there in the center, you'll have your optional gear shifts. If you go down for up and up for down pretty much, which I personally believe is actually better than the other way around. And BMW is one of the only brands that does that. So underneath the hood of the BMW M3 Competition, we have a 3-liter inline-6 engine, twin turbocharged S58, producing 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. This is the first time in BMW's history that they've made the factory BMW M3, with over 500 horsepower, so this thing is absolutely a monster. Now this specific version is a rear-wheel drive. You can also get it in the X-Drive, and the differences between the 0 to 60 times are considerable. You get 2.8 seconds in the X-Drive and about 3.8 to 3.9 seconds in the rear-wheel drive. But of course, this car, being the rear-wheel drive version, keeps you on your toes a little bit more when you drive it, and it is an absolutely amazing experience. It's so fun to drive, and it just keeps the car nimble. And in good old BMW fashion, you gotta have an M that is rear-wheel drive, because that's just the way they used to come. And even though the X-Drives are amazing, and I personally have an X-Drive, I think the rear-wheel drive is the way to go with these M cars. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get behind the wheel of this M3 Competition. Let me just go ahead and fix up my seat over here, and we'll get going. Another thing I wanted to mention about the interior trim is we do have these nice M Sport seat belts as well, which have the M kind of colors going through them and stitching, so that's pretty nice to have as well. Alrighty, so let's get going. So this is actually my first time driving this M3. I've driven this car before, actually, but it was wet conditions. It was like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It wasn't anything crazy. So today's more gonna be of a video of first impressions about an M3 now that we have actually nice conditions to drive it in. So just getting started, of course, we're getting in our normal comfort setting. Everything feels pretty stable. I love the way this car feels so refined in everything it does. The engine, just even going at low speeds, feels very refined. The steering feels very nice. The suspension is very nice on this H&R springs. It might be a little bit on the rougher side. If you're not into that, it just might not be for you. But for my personal opinion, I think these H&Rs ride just great. And this is exactly the quality that I want to have on a sports car on the street. So as I mentioned before, this M3 has 503 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. It's definitely no slouch. This thing will absolutely destroy any track or the street if necessary. The rear-wheel drive version, of course, as I said, keeps you a little bit more on your toes, and we're going to be figuring that out as we play a little bit through the settings. Right now, we're just on our comfort mode, so everything is just pretty stable, very luxury as you would expect your BMW to be. So we do have the comfort seats on this M3. We do not have the carbon bucket seats that are optional. These are actually very comfortable, and I think they're great for just long hauls in your daily commute. The other ones I've heard they're also very comfortable as well. The only thing is they might be a little bit more difficult to get in and out of. And coming from a coupe, because I do have an M240i, I do feel like these doors are a little bit on the smaller side, so I can see where people are coming from when they talk about that. So let's go ahead and start playing with some of our modes. I think we just go ahead and press the M1 button and throw this thing into sport. Let me just go into the home setting over here just so I can have more clarity. Alrighty, let's give it some accelerations. Wow, this thing is an absolute animal. Wow, there's no hesitation between shifts. There's absolutely no lag of anything. This thing just wants to go and rip your head off. Now with the rear wheel drive version, I am a little bit more cautious just because you never know how the car is going to react, and you just want to be a little bit more careful than if you had, for example, the X-Drive. But in this case, this thing just feels planted in every single way. And right there with those accelerations, I can just tell you, it feels like even a little bit more than 500 horsepower. And you know, BMW is known for also tweaking their numbers sometimes, so this thing is absolutely insane. Let's go ahead and drop some gears. We'll put it over into manual mode, 6th gear, drop it over into about 4th. Just get on it. It is, wow, what a car, what a rocket. So I think that the main thing with this M3 is how nimble it feels. Everything in regards to the steering is very nice. The feedback that I get through the steering is very nice. There's some nice vibrations, even though, you know, that's not necessarily all natural per se. It's all definitely assisted and digital. But at the same time, you get these really nice feedback from the steering wheel. And this thing is just a monster. And when you drop it, gears has no hesitation. The gearbox is absolutely phenomenal. Let's try again on the little pull right here. Oof. Wow. I'm sorry for the faces that I'm making, but when you accelerate this car, you really have to pay attention to what's going on, because if you look away, you might end up who knows where. So I'm probably making faces when I accelerate this thing, but you really, like, your breath stops for a second just to focus on exactly what is it that's going on. And this screen is just absolutely beautiful. The graphics are clear as day, and the colors that they use is just one of my favorite things, because it makes the car a little bit funner, a little bit more dynamic. It just makes the car not look as such a serious BMW, but something that anyone can have fun in, and that you know you're gonna have fun in it once you get into it. Absolutely everything about this M3 is built around German engineering precision. And I'm telling you, everywhere from this S58 engine, which is absolutely phenomenal how it delivers the power, from the transmission that is lightning fast, to the steering, which has very nice feedback, the suspension, the whole package coming in together really makes for an amazing experience behind the M3. And there's a reason why these M3s are legendary and they're so known in the car world and they're so desired by people. It's because they've always been phenomenal cars. Now, personally, I do not have too much experience with other M3 versions, just because I haven't gotten the pleasure to drive those. But stepping into the G80 M3 and having this be my first experience, I think is also a way to get spoiled, because this thing is a rocket ship. And I know that the previous generation M3s, even though that they can be tuned and modified to reach 500 horsepower easily, this thing from factory is already amazing. Just got to do a little tweaks, maybe an exhaust, suspension system like we got here. We got the lowering H&R lowering springs, so that looks great. And other than that, the car is everything you would want in a car. All right, so starting off a couple corners over here. Now this car, as I mentioned, is on lowering sprint, so it's a little bit more planted, but the overall just feel of the suspension is just so nicely dialed in. Everything is so nicely dialed in. Exactly where you're putting your steering wheel is exactly where the car is gonna go. There is no play to the steering wheel, you know, there's no like loose ends or whatever you want to call it, where you kind of can jiggle the steering wheel to side and the car won't do anything. As soon as you move this thing side to side, it just wants to go. I would love to see the performance of this M3 on a track, because this thing through corners, you can just tell it'll shred through corners. So just as final thoughts of the M3, and I have to be completely honest, this is one of the best cars that I've ever driven in my life. I think as a package, just putting every single aspect of it together, it really brings in just excellence and precision. As I mentioned, the engineering behind these cars is absolutely insane. And of course, like I mentioned before, this is an M3. I mean, it's a legendary, historic car. There's no way that BMW was gonna flaunt this, and they just made an absolute killer machine. So thank you very much for watching this video. We're also gonna be doing a POV drive on the M3, so look out for that if you wanna have the experience of behind the wheel, and so you can see a little bit more about the infotainment system and the LCI screen, which is amazing as well. It's one of my favorite parts of this car. We'll be coming out with new videos coming out soon as well. We have the project car coming in soon, so stay tuned for that, and thank you guys for watching.
Hop in the car, watch it go vroom, vroom. I told her mom that I bust soon, soon. Knew as a child back